please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. You're watching What's Hot on CNBC TV18. Here's another exclusive story. In a boost to the food processing sector, we learned from sources that the government is considering setting up a new financial institution for the sector, the announcement for which will be made in the upcoming budget. Ronaja Banerjee is here with exclusive details. Ron, what else are you picking up from your sources on what is likely to be announced by the Finance Minister?
Well, the idea is to create a financial institution that would lend exclusively to the food processing industry. You know what NABARD has been to the agriculture sector, what the National Housing Bank is to the housing sector, what IDFC in its earlier avatar was to the infrastructure sector. Similarly, this financial institution is now being envisaged that would solely and exclusively focus on the food processing industry. What my sources are telling me that the proposal to this effect was made last month by the Food Processing Ministry, and it's got like widespread support. So they are hoping that an announcement will be made as early as the budget, where they are expecting an announcement to be made by the Finance Minister, but then thereafter, of course, the final details of which will have to be worked out in the subsequent weeks. What we understand is that the proposal in its current form states that that government in this financial institution should not have stake of more than 25% and the rest should be with the private sector. So it is being envisaged through a PPP route. Clearly, food processing has been identified as one of the key thrust areas for this government, because remember, food processing currently constitutes about 10% of the overall manufacturing footprint, and the government believes if things are done right and if this sector can be given some sort of a fillip, there is a whole host of job employment opportunities, because already the overall investments that have been committed in this sector is a staggering 65,000 crore rupees over the next 5 to 6 years. So let's wait and watch whether that big announcement comes from the Finance Minister on the 1st of February or not.
Okay, of course, the fine print is going to be clear only then, so we will be keeping a very close watch on that. Thanks, Ron, for breaking that story for us. Let's head to Wall Street, though, where markets have opened on a positive note, with the Dow soaring to new records. So we'll just pull that up for you. That's pretty much been the story of this year so far for both US and equities back home. But the dollar has come under pressure. First, take a look at S&P 500, gaining up by about 0.2%. And look at the dollar. The dollar has come under the pressure, and the dollar index has hit a 3-year low today after US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin seemingly defended a weaker greenback. He, in fact, said that a weak dollar does bring trade-related opportunities. But speaking to CNBC, US Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross clarified that Mnuchin was not advocating for a weak dollar.
We've heard from Treasury Secretary Mnuchin today. He was talking earlier today in some of the meetings where you were too,
right,
and spoke about how if a weak dollar comes along, that's okay, that we can deal with that. What do you think, as somebody, not only a Commerce Secretary today, but a business leader and somebody who's had to deal with currency prices?
Yeah, I was there with Steve when he said what he said, and I don't think that's exactly what he said. I think what he exactly said is the dollar, just like the Treasury bond market, is a huge market, a very liquid market. It's not something we worry a lot about day by day. I think that's really the intention that he wanted to.
So he was not advocating a weaker dollar in any way, shape, or form?
No, he wasn't advocating anything. He was simply saying it's not the world's biggest concern to us right.
Meanwhile, US Commerce Secretary also hinted at more protectionist measures, especially targeting China. He said that there could be more tariff-related measures that could be announced very soon. Just yesterday, United States imposed a heft tariff on import of solar panels. In fact, Wilbur Ross went on to say that a trade war is already in place. Here's the chief of Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein, on the US-China relationship as well as the tariff war.
I went as part of the trade mission to China.
Yeah.
And again, aside from the big macro and policy issues, there was the president bringing companies from the United States and very aggressively, with Wilbur, I think is coming on next,
right,
aggressively promoting U.S. business dealings with China. And I know specifically there were things that got done that otherwise wouldn't have gotten done. And so I don't want to not mark that.
No, there are issues on trade, though. And, last year at this time, I remember we were all sitting around the desk, and every person who came on was very worried that there could be a potential trade war just based on some of the commentary that
well, I think it
didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Well, it didn't happen. But you have to put the word "yet" at the end of all these things.
Yes.
So it didn't happen, and I think that, I have anxiety about that.
Do you think, China, they're adults over there. Do you think that we could get to the point where we got them so angry that something actually happens, or do you think that they understand the way things work?
On trade?
Yeah, on trade. Do you think that we could actually screw this up, or they're adults? I mean,
of course we can, and of course, but again, I look at this, what's going on, and again, we're at the point now where we kind of know what's going on in the world, and I'd say, it's not so clear what the right strategy in a negotiation has to be.
Right.
But if you're going to negotiate and get some benefits, you gotta lay it down and say, right, this is the way it's going to be. What do you want to do? Right. And I think the Chinese have been an emerging market, but a lot of parts of the Chinese market have emerged. Yeah. And now we have to compete on more of a level playing field, and I think they recognize it. In some cases, they request a subsidy for the world, not a real subsidy, but a benefit. And in some cases, I think they dominate certain aspects of the market, right, and especially some aspects of the industrial market. And so, we'll see where it goes. But, it's easy to second guess where it goes. But if we had that brief, and we had to engage, and we had to improve, make things come out better than they're coming out, we might adapt some of the strategy as well. Right.
Okay, back home to the big national story, possibly the most controversial story this year. There are only a few hours left before Sanjay Leela Bhansali's Padmavat hits the screen, but the controversy surrounding the film refuses to die down. Today, volunteers allegedly belonging to the Karni Sena continue their protests against the release of Padmavat. And parts of Chittorgarh, Meerut, Gurugram, Delhi and NCR have reportedly witnessed protests. Many theatre owners have refused to screen the film due to the fear of being vandalized. Zeba Warsi is joining in with the latest from Jaipur. Zeba, what's the mood like and what are you picking up in terms of theatre owners actually refusing to screen the film?
Kritika, that is the sad state of affairs here in Jaipur, in fact in the whole of Rajasthan for that matter. For preview screenings, if we talk about, over 1,500 screens have opened to packed shows for Padmavat all across the country. But in the home state of Rajasthan, if Rani Padmavati did exist, she belonged to Rajasthan. And in the home state of Rajasthan, none of the theatres, single screen or multiplexes, will be screening the film. That is the sad reality, in a way hinting at how miserably the state administration has failed to provide protection to single screen theatres and multiplexes so that a movie could have been screened in the state. That is an absolute failure of the law and order situation here in Rajasthan. In fact, we have spoken to people in the Multiplex Association as well as single screen theatre owners who tell us that they have decided unanimously to not screen Padmavat in any of their screens because they fear for their property, they fear for theatres that will be attacked by Rajput Karni Sena and other fringe groups who have been, in a way, holding the state to ransom. In fact, I spoke to Rajput Karni Sena Chief Lokendra Singh Kalvi, and he told CNN News 18, he told Network 18, that Rajput Karni Sena will not allow any of the multiplexes or single screen theatres across the country to screen this particular movie. It remains to be seen if elsewhere this protest spreads, but we have been hearing reports of incidences from all across the country.
Oh yes, Zeba, I mean, the failure of law and order is evident with the visuals that we have collected over the course of the day. Thanks for joining in with that. Of course, Zeba will be watching that very closely and we will be bringing updates over the course of the next few hours in the run-up till tomorrow evening, which is actually a day before the film releases. We'll have to wrap up this edition of What's Hot. Many thanks for watching the show, but coming up next is our special show Rescue.